Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Bloodborne. There's a typhoon raging through southern Japan right now. The rain is really harsh and the wind is howling, so the atmosphere is perfect for some Bloodborne, and I want to continue my playthrough. I've adjusted the mic volume, by the way, so now you should be able to hear me even in sections of the game that has music. I'm really sorry that those volumes were a little bit off in the previous sections. But in case you don't remember, we had just dipped into the DLC area of Bloodborne to grab this awesome boom hammer, which is going to be one of my main weapons in the playthrough. But it's not upgraded yet, so we're going to stick with our tonitrus for now. I've teleported back to the Grand Cathedral where we just defeated Amelia, and it's time to progress into the next area of the game. And I think I want to go to Hemwick next, which is one of my favorite areas. And you can see this tonitrus continues to really perform in terms of damage. The reason I really like Hemwick is, I don't know about you, but I've always loved that sort of fairy tale aesthetic, like old European folkloric fairy tales like the Brothers Grimm. And it really has that aesthetic to it with, you know, witches gathering around cauldrons and stuff. There's something about that kind of literature that really, like, it's really dark and really interesting, and it has a special place in my heart. One of my favorite games actually for the PlayStation 3, don't know if you ever played it, it's called Folklore, and it's basically a 3D action game, a little bit like Bloodborne, that heavily inspired by, you know, old European folk tales. And it has one of the best like soundtracks of any games ever. So if you've never heard of Folklore for the PS3, definitely check it out, or at least YouTube some of the amazing music from Folklore. When I was choosing what audio track I wanted to use for my intro for the Bloodborne playthrough, it was basically between Metroid Prime and Folklore music for me, and I ended up going with Metroid Prime. But yeah, definitely check that out. So the reason I'm killing the enemies in this area is I happen to know that there's supposed to be some upgrade materials around here, and we need to get some more twin bloodstone shards to upgrade our boom hammer. I wanted to get it up to the same level as the tonitrus so that those weapons can sort of complement one another going forward, because the next couple of sections of the game are actually going to be quite a bit more difficult in my opinion. It's really nice that this is actually killing these guys in one hit. It's going to make them a lot easier, at least when the weapon's buffed. So let's try and get this guy without getting seen. We were talking about Lovecraft in a little bit in my previous video, and some of my recommendations of stories of his that I think you should read. And then one of my favorite YouTube channels of all time, you probably know them, they're very famous, they're known as Red Letter Media, just happened to upload a Halloween special where they reviewed two movies that are actually based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft. Now, the two movies were Reanimator, Herbert West Reanimator, and I don't remember what the second one was. From Beyond or something like that. I've read both of the original stories, and those movies are great if you like B movies and you like old horror movies. You should definitely check them both out. I've seen both movies as well. If you like John Carpenter movies and stuff like that, but you prefer maybe, you know, a little bit more of a campy and comedic style, you should definitely check them out. They don't have any sort of like you know, Lovecraftian feel to them, because they're much too light-hearted in my opinion, but they're still very fun. It would be very difficult to make, you know, a real movie out of, you know, the story of Reanimator, because it's such a short story. But I recommend that you check out that video from Red Letter Media. They are amazing. Oh, there's the stone that I was looking for. So now we can progress. Great stuff. If you guys are inclined to comment, please let me know if you're going to do something for Halloween. If you're going to dress up or anything. I actually really like Halloween. And just so happens that I met my girlfriend on Halloween. It's going to be 2 years ago this month. And me and my friends, we were going to this Halloween party, which is where I first met her. And we all really wanted to go all out with our costumes. And so I decided I wanted to be a zombie because I really like zombies. I always have. I find them both very, very scary in a unique way. The concept of humans eating humans in that kind of way is something about it that really freaks me out, and I think it's really cool. I like, you know, zombie apocalypse movies and stuff. And so I went all out with my zombie makeup. I bought 2 different kinds of blood makeup, and I bought some other like makeup stuff. And then I mixed blood and makeup with actual just mud and hair wax that I mud from like around my house, actual just mud from the ground. And I made my hair like dirty and sticky, and I had dirt on my face. And then I put in 1 contact lens in one of my eyes that made the eye like yellow and red and look really infected. And then the other eye I left, you know, my normal color. And then I put in like a big bite mark on one side of my neck, and I made much more like heavy makeup around the area where the yellow eye was. So the idea was that I'd been bitten, you know, on like the left side of my neck, and I was gradually turning into a zombie, but the transformation was not complete. So it was only like half of my face. That was the like idea behind the makeup. I think it actually came out pretty cool. And I looked freaky, but yeah, the girl that ended up being my girlfriend just thought it looked pretty cute, so I guess I got lucky. She was a cowboy, by the way. She just dressed up as a cowboy, which I thought was kind of like boring. Just like put in some more effort, you just have a cowboy hat on, but yeah, one thing led to another, you know. These enemies are really dangerous. I've actually been to Hemwick a couple of times, and these big gray-haired guys here don't spawn, which is odd. I mean, I know a lot of people are very knowledgeable about Bloodborne because it's such a beloved game. So maybe you can let me know, like, is there a special reason or is a special condition where those guys don't spawn? Does it have anything to do with insight, maybe? That I have enough insight for them to spawn or something? I don't know. Ow, that was bad. I keep expecting the taunters not to kill them so easily, so I keep swinging after everybody's dead, you know. See, sometimes like I'm doing a strength build and I'm using powerful blown weapons, so there's not really any need for me to do all that many visceral attacks and stuff. It's actually almost more important to just try and lay normal attacks with attack buffs on enemies, because it's going to kill like you can see right there very easily and actually stack up more damage a lot of the time. Here's an ambush area. Very obvious ambush area if you happen to be a Blood Souls player. So I did not even fall for that first time, I remember. And I felt really awesome. Oh wow, that was very dangerous. I almost got killed by a crow. And here's another one of these gray-haired dudes that are really dangerous. Wow, did you see that speed? That was crazy. I almost went off a cliff. Just a little bit more range and that would have been a really nice backstab. Okay, there we go instead. Something cool that you might not know is that there's a bunch of crows in here. one of them, one of these crows, is actually friendly. He will never attack you. But I'll try and show you. It's actually kind of cool. Let's draw like the bad ones out. Where'd you go? There you are. See this crow right here? He's never gonna do anything to harm you. He's just a nice, friendly little crow guy. And so, I think we should do the nice thing and just leave him be. I don't know if that's intentional by the developers or anything. How are we doing? Oh, so we got exactly 16 upgrade materials, and if I'm not wrong, I seem to remember that being exactly what we need to upgrade the boom hammer to the level I wanted. So that's perfect. So we're going to cut back through this little shortcut here to the lantern, and then we're going to go upgrade boom hammer. And then we're going to have two really high damage, high powered weapons, and we can alternate between lightning damage when we want to deal lightning damage and fire when we want to deal fire, which is going to be really powerful. And then because these weapons are famously low durability weapons, we're also going to be able to switch if one of them happens to break. And then we have exactly enough shards to put both of them at +7, I think. So let's do boom hammer +7 and tonitors +7. Yeah, now we're in really good shape. Let's get some blood runes in here as well. What are these gonna do? Max HP. Yeah, that's good. Oh, this is the one that's gonna increase our fire damage. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool because this does fire damage. That's great. Okay, that'll do for now. And for the tonitors. Like I said, even though I read and speak Japanese fluently, sometimes with these games it's just a lot of very complex Japanese kanji, and it becomes very difficult to read. Definitely for me, but even for people who are, native speakers. Japanese is a ridiculously difficult language to specifically read and write, not necessarily speak. It's like this text right here. I could tell you what it means, but there are certain, like that. Oh yeah, it disappeared. But I know that said the healing church. It says right there as well in the middle, because I've played the game in English. But if you've never heard like the way to say the words healing church in Japanese, it might be very difficult to guess. Is what I'm getting at. But look at this area, right? You've got these like flickering flames. You've got the like screaming crazy women down there, and that big building up there on the hill where we're gonna fight the witch later. It's just so cool. Let's get the boom hammer out here because now it's ready. If you've never seen the boom hammer before, basically it's the most awesome weapon in the world. It's got like a flintlock on the back, and so you cock the hammer like a gun, and then when you smash it down, it explodes with fire and does extra damage for one attack only. So it's kind of like a typical kind of weapon that I would like to use. I like big, slow hits. And when you cock the hammer like this, the buff is going to persist for as long as I need, and it's never going to go away, unlike the tonitors, so that's pretty cool. And it does a great damage, by the way. Look at that. But you got to keep on buffing it up if you want to do these one-hit kills. It does great damage even without the buff, though. Is she going to come for me? No, we're good. Another really cool thing about boom hammer and tonitors that I like is that they're both, even though they're big hammers, they're always wielded in one hand, meaning that I will always have access to my firearm. Okay, here we go. That was bad. Let's get up. There you go. So that's a lot of the time how you end up playing with the boom hammer. taking a risk and slamming down one hit of massive damage, and I love the playstyle, the sort of high risk, high reward playstyle. It's kind of like how I play in fighting games a lot of the time too. But let's keep going now. Yeah, and you can see she goes too hot when you kill her. I think these enemies are actually weak to fire, which is why the boom hammer is the better choice in this area. Let's try and draw this guy out if we can. Come on. I don't want to go up here because there's a Molotov cocktail ambush. Oh, that's not good. You follow me all the way over here? Okay, that's good. That the normal charged up R2, this sorry, R1, this move, it has really good range. You see, it sends out this flame wave. The range on that is really powerful, actually. So let's just be careful with this Molotov dude right here. Good. Oh, she didn't die. Yeah, I guess the Molotovs one are slightly more powerful then. Okay, cool. There should be some secret treasure in here as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so let me know what you guys are going to do for Halloween. I mean, this year I'm probably not going to do anything. I'm probably just going to hang out in my house, maybe play some games, maybe do a Halloween stream or something. I know not everybody, you know, has the will or the opportunity to go some awesome party or anything, but I actually find as I get older, I enjoy spending holidays just doing nothing more and more and more. Yeah, I think there's some secret treasure over this way. Oh no. Let's try again. Like, is there a single like Dark Souls game that does not have climbing on rafters? Like beams like this up in the ceiling, whether it's a big church or a house like this, it seems to exist in all of these games for some reason. Is there anything else? No. Oh, there we go. It's a blood rune. Or are those called blood runes? Or like blood gems maybe? Yeah, it's probably blood gems. And now this area is really cool because that right there, I'm pretty sure is actually Castle Cainhurst. And Castle Cainhurst is, I think, officially, like according to polls, the most popular area in the entire game among the fans. It looks so awesome when you get there, and the way to get there is actually really sort of difficult if you don't know it. It's like a hidden path that you have to really look for to find, and when you get there, it's this massive, amazing looking area. And it just made me feel like when I went there, I was using the threaded cane, by the way, which is a whip weapon in this game that is really awesome. And you go to this massive gothic castle and you fight basically vampires and stuff. It made me feel like I really want From Software, who make Bloodborne, to like make the next Castlevania game. It would be so awesome if there was a, you know, a Bloodvania, so to speak. I think if they took like the Bloodborne and then just introduced, you know, it into like the Castlevania setting, and it would be like an entire game like this, but set in more like a Castle Cainhurst inspired environment, it would be ridiculously awesome. Boom. That's so amazing. I love this weapon. Some for you. And you see this, if you don't charge the R2, you just do it normally. It sends a flame wave forward that does great damage as well. So this weapon is super cool. Let me know what your favorite game in the Dark Souls and Bloodborne series is, by the way. I know a lot of people basically think that Dark Souls 1 is the best. Certainly like the one I remember the most fondly and that I probably played the most. I actually really liked 2, even though I know people say that's the worst one. And the reason I loved 2 was because in Dark Souls games, I basically always use the club. It's like my favorite weapon. I like very simple, blunt weapons when I play these games. And the club has always been really awesome, or the reinforced club, which is another version of the club. And in Dark Souls 2, I could really easily, by just doing some small stat investments near the start of the game, actually dual wield 2 clubs. And get ridiculous damage outputs, and it was a lot of fun. So I remember that being cool. Too short range. I managed to guard that without getting guard broken. It's actually unexpected. There we go. That damage is so good. Speaking of Canehurst, I think this little obelisk right here is actually where you take the carriage to Canehurst later. Just in case we die here in the next section, I'm going to open up this shortcut as well. Because there are a couple of really dangerous enemies up ahead, and then there's a bunch of dogs over there, and if they come running at you, you can be in trouble as well. So I'm just going to skip those for now. Actually, I don't think there's anything too important over there that we need to get. There's like a Carol rune, but I don't think it's an important one. Maybe I'm wrong. Cock the boom hammer. That's a one-hit kill of one of these executioners. That is so powerful. Man, I love this weapon. We got some interesting blood gems during this run through the village. I'm going to check out some of those later and see if there's anything we should be using. Yeah, let's do that instead of a visceral attack because it's cooler. And then this building up here is where we're going to encounter the Witch of Hemwick, which is the boss of this area. And there should be, I think, in these barrels, a crystal lizard. Yeah, there he went. He drops down from the ceiling. At some point we should maybe upgrade our blunderbuss as well. I don't know, like I mainly use it for parrying, for damage. I've wanted to do at some point a blood tinge build. A blood tinge in this game is a skill that increases the damage of a few different weapons, but mainly your firearms, and do like a build that actually uses firearms to deal damage in the game. I think that would be cool to try. If you've ever tried that and had it work successfully, then let me know. The only problem being that a good weapon for that is the Chikage, and I do not like katanas in these games. I tend not to ever use katanas or any Japanese swords in fantasy games. I don't know why, it's just not my thing, but maybe I'll try out the Bloodletter. But yeah, this is the Witch of Hemwick boss room. So let's see if we can find her first of all. Is she over here? Yep. That awkward curtain ruined my whole thing. I was gonna chain R2s on her, but whatever. For now I'm just gonna ignore all the enemies that aren't the boss. There she goes. Oh wow. That does a lot more damage than I remember it doing. can see I'm 2 hits and I've taken like half her life bar. But she has a clone who's going to be appearing soon, so she's not as easy as you might expect. There we go. It's the first one, and now the clone's going to appear. We got to try and kill her sort of quickly, or we could end up in trouble. Oh, there she is. It's better to let her disappear here, I think. Clean those guys up so that they don't jump on us from behind or anything later. Let's see where she's gone. It's not up here, so maybe on the oh, there. That's probably where her right there. But now you can see that there's actually 2 of them alive at the same time. There's another one right here. So let's visceral her, and then we should have just about enough time to finish off her our clone. Is that it? Yeah. So that was pretty smooth. Well, it wasn't very smooth, I got hit too much, but the Witch of Hemwick is not known for being a super difficult boss or anything. I think we've taken out all the bosses so far in our first try, which feels good, but don't worry, that's not gonna last, because we gotta fight the Shadows of Yharnam pretty soon, and that's not a specialty of mine. Shadows of Yharnam, I like to use fire weapons against them because it reminds me of the scene in Lord of the Rings, the first Lord of the Rings movie, where Aragorn fights the Nazgul in, I think it's the Watchtower of Amansul. I'm a little bit of a Tolkien Lord of the Rings nerd. I love that universe, but I'm pretty sure that used to be the Watchtower of Amansul, and he fights the Nazgul and he throws the torch into one of their faces. That's what I think about when I play that section of the game.